Can we ask everybody behind this Joy to shut up?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, we have speed. You can start whenever you're ready.
All right. David, why guitar of all the instruments in the world?
It's easier than piano, keyboards, and to me, piano and guitar are the two main instruments where you can be everything. You can be a rhythm instrument, a bass instrument, a rhythmic instrument, or a rhythm instrument, a backing rhythm instrument, and a lead instrument all at once. And everything else seems to be a part of something. It seems to be not enough on its own. I love the drums, the bass, and all sorts of other instruments, but they need to be with someone else. You can't do it all on your own. You can't be a complete sound making music just playing the drums or just playing the bass. You can do it with a guitar.
Did you start off,
keyboards.
were you initially playing an acoustic instrument and then went to an electric guitar?
Yeah.
Who did you first listen to that made you want to play electric instead of acoustic?
I always wanted to play everything, I think. I started off listening, when I was very young, to all sorts of blues and different things when I was like, pre-teen. And when I was 10, Rock Around the Clock came out. Bill Haley, that was a major push forward for me wanting to do it myself. And shortly afterwards, Heartbreak Hotel, another, Rock Around the Clock was the first. Heartbreak Hotel was a better one, but didn't have quite as much impact at the time. It's a far better record. I love it far more, but it was the first one that kicked me into that sort of rock and roll. But I was heavily into folk music as well, Pete Seeger and all that stuff before then.
Well, with Bill Haley and that time, were you more influenced by seeing these instruments on film?
No, I never saw any of them. I mean, it was the sound, it was the sound of rock and roll was probably the thing that made me want to actually do it myself, rather than just enjoying listening to other people do it.
Well, who were the first, would you say, 6 guitar players you think in those early days that influenced you the most?
Let me think. Who were the first 6? God, I should think Pete Seeger, Lead Belly, Hank Marvin. Who else?
Was Hank Marvin the first major British guitar player over there?
He was the first major electric sort of guitar hero for us Brits, yes.
Did you get a chance to go see him in concert?
Yeah, several times, yeah. Brilliant.
Your current setup now is very electronic. You have all sorts of effects devices on the floor and rack-mounted devices. How important is the electronic side of rock and roll to your playing?
I mean, I can play stuff without them quite happily. I can play acoustic guitar. I like to have a lot of things available to me. I like to have a lot of sounds. I see no point in limiting myself to any one particular thing or any one particular style. So whenever I find something new and exciting, I just add it into the general stuff, and I try to get it on the push of a button that I can use it.
But as you said, I think in Guitar Player magazine, that you don't really see yourself as in the forefront of the electronic movement, the high-tech movement, but yet
I don't sit around, investigating stuff like that terribly much, looking for it, but every once in a while I sort of potter out and look through the adverts and ask someone to go and borrow some of these devices for me to try out and just see what happens.
What do you think that it is, could you say, about your own style that makes it uniquely David Gilmour?
Wish I knew. I'm glad that it is fairly unmistakably me. I mean, for better or worse. I mean, it's hard to know. Not many people think it's someone else, and I'm glad I've got that, because it's definitely a plus to have.
Did you consciously develop a unique style that sort of came along?
If I try to sound like anyone else, I can try very hard to sound like Jeff Beck or Eric Clapton or Hendrix or whoever, or it never works. It sounds like me trying to sound like them.
The guitar to most people, I think, throughout the world is probably the preeminent symbol of rock and roll. When you were beginning your playing the electric guitar, did you find yourself as a young child standing in front of mirrors, emulating the physicality of it before the music?
Never got into that at all, really.
Is
Trying
in
to
your
learn
mind,
now, but can't afford a big mirror.
Is in your mind the guitar the symbol of rock and roll?
Well, it goes back to the same thing. It's the most complete instrument, you know, for playing any type of music on, really. I mean, you can't sit and be a whole thing playing a violin, and you can't be a whole thing playing a bass guitar or just a drum kit, you know. The piano or the keyboard, where you've got two hands which can play bass parts, rhythm parts, moving parts, and lead parts, and the guitar, the two instruments which for me, and I prefer the guitar. I mean, I play a tiny bit of piano and keyboard myself, but pretty badly.
When Elvis Presley first started appearing on television, even with the guitar just sort of being generally strummed, all of a sudden Elvis and the instrument were locked in together as representing a whole lot of what music rebellion and all of that meant to many people growing up at that time. Did you, were you influenced by Elvis as a player as well as a symbol?
I didn't actually have television till at least 5 years after Elvis started. So I think, I mean, I can only remember listening to the records and listening to the Radio Luxembourg, a late sort of an evening radio station beamed in from Europe that we could get in England. I can't remember ever seeing very much of it in its very early years, or in my first few years of exposure to rock and roll. I may be deluding myself, but I suspect I'm less concerned with the image than what it actually sounded like.
Do you recall what those first feelings were when you heard like Bill Haley and Heartbreak Hotel and
yes,
and all this?
it was just wonderful. I wanted to be a part of it, you know.
Because it was loud, because it was a sound that you hadn't heard? What was it about it?
I don't know. I mean, ask 10 million other people who feel the same. I mean, you must know as well as I do. It's not something you can describe or explain, really, is it?
Well, one thing I remember...
I never really felt that rebellious about it or anything. I just liked it. It was good fun, you know.
Frank Zappa wrote in Life magazine many years ago that one of the great important things to him was to see Rock Around the Clock in a movie theater and for the first time hear his own music, rock and roll, on giant speakers and hear it so loud. What was going on in those days in England in the British music scene? Was it skiffle music and then all of a sudden it was rock and roll?
I mean, it all gradually changed. It was awful. I mean, most of the stuff on the English charts when I was about 10, 12, 13 was dreadful old ballads by real awful stuff. And every once in a while there'd be this gem, and all the young people I know would be sort of raving about it and plug it into Radio Luxembourg to listen to it. Petula Clark and people like that, it's all over the place.
What's in the future for David Gilmour?
More of the same, I guess. Carry on till I drop. Probably.
Will there be any videos in the next year?
I really haven't got any definite plans fixed up. You know, I'm only contemplating starting to put a new album together, considering doing another tour next year. I mean, I'd like to get an album and a tour together for next year over here. But nothing's particularly definite yet. I'm just meandering on, doing occasional bits here for myself and bits for other people.
Thank you.
You're one.
We're done.
Great, thank you.
Let's play some back.